graft. Obviously, at some point, we'll cascade it to the national level. I'm joined by Martin and Ndati. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. And also have Paul Koinange, the Member of Parliament for Kiambaa. You're very much welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I think, Paul Koinange, we'll start with you. You were not in the meeting today, but you sent your apology in that particular meeting. But the question that we're asking ourselves is, owing to the fact that it appears like the marriage between Nyoro and Waititu was a marriage of convenience, will the truth last in Kiambu?
Well, Martin, in Kiambu, the problem for Nyoro and Waititu was not only for between them. It is actually for all the leaders of Kiambu County, me included, in the problem. And I heard that we had a meeting today. But let me go back a bit when we had the meeting for National Prayer Breakfast.
Yes.
The issue that we raised as leaders, we are saying in the whole republic.
Yeah.
As a leader, you must learn to live with other people.
Yes.
You must learn to reason with other people. You must learn to forgive each other. And you must learn to work together.
Yeah.
And we are saying that because we have found out many leaders, not only in Kiambu County, that the biggest problem that we are having is the issue of greed and the issue of hypocrisy and lack of integrity. We have lost it in this country, in those areas, not only in Kiambu. Leaders are not accountable. Leaders are not transparent. And that is exactly the problem that we have between Nyoro and Waititu. But if they were both transparent and they were
Let's be more direct
together,
here, Mheshimiwa. Who is not being accountable?
Waititu is not being accountable.
He's not being accountable.
He's not being accountable.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that. But Martin, when you look at the issues in Kiambu, beyond what you're saying, accountability and the issues of the Alcoholic Act that was passed by, the county government, the county assembly of Kiambu, and the rehabilitation program, do you see other underlying issues other than what they are telling us in the national level?
Yeah, ideologically, I don't think Nyoro and Waititu agree. Two, just the way Mheshimiwa said. When you are the governor, you are like a captain. And you cannot be a captain who scores and you want to be the goalkeeper, you want to be the striker. You are the head of a team. So, Waititu needs to internalize the fact that even if he is a head, there are MPs, there's a women rep, there are MCS, and there are the rest of the elected leaders. So you are the captain, you are the person actually, the glue which is supposed to bind all those people together. Because ultimately, the services that you are supposed to render are to the same people. The MP serves the people of Kiambu. In the constituency, you have the women rep serving at the county level. You have the deputy governor who is supposed to be the principal assistant of the governor. And then you have the rest of these fellas. So, you cannot have everybody complaining about you. If you get most of the leaders complaining about you, then you are the problem. So, and Waititu didn't originally belong to Kiambu. Waititu was an export, which Nairobi exported because of the intrigues trying to balance the Jubilee question.
But his bad places,
Kiambu. He was, originally, but he had not done politics in Kiambu. So, after the by-election in Kabete, he was parachuted to Kabete, and then ultimately he found his way to Kiambu. So he needs to thank the Kiambu people for having given him an opportunity to be their governor, and on that basis, he needs to find out what is it that he's not doing right. Because, complaining that, these people want me to fail so that they kick him out in 2022. All these people cannot, they don't all want to be governor. You can't tell me all the Kiambu MPs want to be governor. All the women rep wants to be governor, the senator, So he needs to try and bring the people together so that they agree. And what has been happening in most of the counties is duplication of functions. You get, because there's no consultation in the way programs are run, you get an MP putting money on a program, the governor is also putting money on the same program, the women rep is putting money on the same program. So at the end of the day, the mwananchi is not getting value for them.
And we'll talk about, because there's also duplication in terms of rehabilitation, because the woman rep in Kiambaa Constituency is doing rehabilitation, the governor is doing the same. But coming back to you, Mheshimiwa, because the accusation, particularly from the governor, is that members of parliament are opposed to the rehabilitation program and the end of alcoholism, which you know very well in central Kenya. Alcoholism, and particularly dealing in illicit liquor, is quite a problem. Are you guys opposed to, rehabilitation of this?
Yeah, Martin, before I talk about the rehabilitation, let me pull back a bit. The issue of Waitito, also the Jubilee Party, should not be left out, the issue of Kiambaa County. Because Jubilee Party should be actually should actually be the one who would look after the issues between Nyoro and Waitito.
Because both of them are from the same political party.
And it would be a shame for Jubilee Party to let things go the way they are going. Similarly, the same thing that happened in Nairobi. Jubilee Party, that is their governor, and in Nairobi the same. So that's why I feel that Jubilee Party should wake up and make sure that they talk to their governors, even the way they can also call me and summon me as a member of parliament, but as a Jubilee, because it is Jubilee that is losing. Now, coming to the issue of rehabilitation.
Yes, and the fight against alcoholism.
And fight against alcoholism. Let me say, Martin, we are, even the last time, it is the members of parliament who are in the forefront fighting alcoholism and also rehabilitation. We are very much for it. But you see what is happening. For example, in my area, in Kiambaa Constituency, we were starting a new place for the youth, which was a center for actually helping the youth in education and also in technical skills and all that. And then the place was to be changed by Mheshimiwa, the county women rep, and make it a place for rehabilitation. It was the wrong place. One, it is in the same environment with the primary school. You can imagine children are going to school and then drunken people are being brought for rehabilitation. They should have looked for another place to do the rehabilitation. So we are doing things without interacting and planning together. And that is where we are having a problem. If we are talking to each other, then we will be able to work. And that's why I said earlier, we must learn to do things together. We must learn to plan things together. But if one person is planning for Kiambu, how is Kiambu going to go ahead if it's only one person who is planning? We are going to end up in a ditch. And that is exactly.
Have you guys tried to engage the president? It is his county. He is the party leader of Jubilee. Have you tried to engage the president on this?
Yeah, Martin, right now, I would say that president has a bigger things to look after, not Kiambu at the moment. And I think Kiambu leaders can be able to handle this themselves. It's only a little thing they need to do, to humble themselves and to remove their pride, and they'll be able to move on. They will discuss among themselves and they'll be able to move on. It's a very small thing to be done. As a matter of fact, there are very many other leaders. There are people like Shaun Jonjo, there is people like Kereine. All these leaders can sit together with these leaders and tell them, hey, look here, this is the way to go, and we'll move in that direction.
Martin, when you look at, and particularly this could be central Kenya or in other counties, apart from duplication of duties from governors, is number one, lack of consultations, and also what is, you would say, is their priorities not being right in terms of setting money. Because the leaders are concerned that you're giving 400 shillings daily to these people being rehabilitated. Is it sustainable? Don't forget that about 2 months ago, a governor allocated a whole 17 million to chase monkeys.
The priorities are upside down. Alcoholism is a very serious issue in the country, but was around Mount Kenya. So I don't think it's true to say that there is an MP in Central Province who will be against it, because there are even MPs who have been taken to court for destroying those distilleries, And when the president gave the instructions, you saw the MPs go out in full force until when the courts came in and issued orders. So there's no way you would tell anybody that Waititu is the only one who wants to fight the alcohol problem in Central. Because if you go to some of the schools, I do quite a bit of work around Thika, even Kiambaa here. And you know, in some of the schools, it's so bad. You get a class of 40 kids. There are only 3 or 4 boys. It's that serious. And it gets worse as you go up. There are more girls coming from Mount Kenya and going to university than there are boys. The boys have either gotten into alcoholism or they have gotten into chewing mira. So it's a very serious issue, because what it means is a whole generation is getting lost. So they need to sit down as a community, and the leadership must come up with solutions, you know. But you know, the solutions will not be found by engaging in tokenism and doing a few populist actions. Because you know, when you give those fellas money, does money really rehabilitate somebody? Because I thought, in fact, you actually worsening the problem. Because you give him money to go and buy alcohol, and you are encouraging him to get, you are giving him free money, you know. So you are telling him he should not work. So I don't know where Waititu learned that you resolve the problem of alcoholism by giving people money. That is not the remedy. He needs to find out where the problem started, you know. And it is a social, political and economic issue, which must be addressed in a holistic manner. And that's why you need all the leaders to be part of it. Then, like Mheshimiwa said, you have an MP is telling you, you can't put a rehab next to a school. You see, that tells you there is no coordination. Because the leaders are supposed to work together. There should be consultative meetings, at least once a month. And you sit and agree on the issues. Then you create the synergies, you know, so that you can get a bit of money coming from the CDF and a bit of money coming from the women rep and a bit of money coming from the county, so that it goes into some of those programs, you know, so that you are not doing this program, then the other one is doing another program, the same thing, you know. But because there's no coordination, you end up duplicating, you end up wasting the money. So I think Waititu now, as the senior most leader politically from the county, excluding the president, needs to put his act together. And I think Tuju, as the party leader, as the Secretary General, because the president is too preoccupied with the national issues.
Exactly.
He's fighting on the working on the big 4. He's fighting corruption, and you can see, you've seen the noise has already started. So I don't think he would have time to go and start sorting out issues in Kiambaa. So it's up to Tuju, as the SG of the party, to call those people and crack the whip. Because they should have learned from the Nairobi issue, when there was a problem between Songo and Igade, until Igade walked out. Up to now, you can see Songo is unable to appoint a deputy, and the county is more or less grounding to a halt. So if we are not careful, Kiambaa will go that same route, you know. Nora resigns, you don't have a deputy, and you have a governor running around all over the place the way Songo is running all over the city.
So that we can wind up on this matter, Mheshimiwa, because fellow MPs, you know, led by the senator, woman rep, and about 7 of you, excluding the other 3 that were absent because of various reasons, the commitment was consultations. What do you expect, you know, as a member of parliament from Kiambaa County moving forward, so that we can take this conversation to corruption?
I would expect that we will sit as members of parliament, and we also sit with the members of county assembly. We'll sit with the leaders, and we'll talk. Now, the issue is in the last government of county government of Kabogo, we had said we are going to do something called Council of Development. We never did, where business people, members of parliament, and MCA, and the deputy governor will be involved in that sitting, where we can talk as leaders of Kiambaa County. It never happened. There are many things which have been happening in Kiambaa County without us being involved. And not being involved, we have said, okay, we leave it to the governor. I myself do my things for Kiambaa, other members do with other constituencies, and the governor will run the things for the Kiambaa County. And doing that, we have ended up to be in a deeper whole than during the time of Kabogo. As a matter of fact, Kabogo did better work than we can see today with the present county government.
All right, but the governor is only about 7 months old.
No. I don't think
we should give him some favor.
No. I don't think we should give him more time because a governor, a leader can be seen by his first step to move on. You can tell how he relates with other people. If you are not able to relate with other people, that means you're not ready to go that journey for development.
All right.
Yeah.
Martin, we need to take this conversation to corruption. You've seen the resolve by the president to fight corruption. But first of all, what is your take about the orders by Okia Umtata, the Umtata orders that you obtained from the Labour Court, even after the order by the president, the procurement officers, as well as accounting officers stepped down?
Umtata was raising constitutional issues, but you know, the law does not bar one as an employer to carry out an administrative action. You know, if you misbehave today, you are doing the interview with the cattle here, they'll send you away. And you know, the people, the procurement officers and the accounts people, nobody has been fired. They are still enjoying the salaries. They are still enjoying the PECs. The only thing that has happened is they have been told, give us this information. Then you leave the office, hand over to your deputy for 1 month as we gather this information. You know, that is an administrative action. So I don't think, and I think, you know, there is what we call judicial activism. The judges are over-interpreting the law, because you cannot inject government from performing its duties. The government, especially the executive, must be able to make certain decisions and take certain actions for them to be able to deliver quality services to Kenyans. So sending away the heads of procurement and the heads of accounts, there's nothing criminal about it. And you know, anybody who lives in this country, we know that procurement and accounts are the engines of corruption. You don't need, unless you are not a Kenyan. Anybody who has been around, I worked in the civil service, I know that is where corruption is at its peak. All these funny things we are seeing around, they are done in accounts and in procurement.
All right. Mheshimiwa, when you look at, you know, the president's commitment and also, you know, the what you would call political will in the fight against corruption. But then from yesterday, we've seen leaders taking, you know, beginning to speak from both ends of the mouth. You know, this community is being targeted, these are the communities being targeted. So we really fight corruption with such attitudes?
Well, I know there's some leaders who are saying that the fight against corruption is actually the issue of 2022. That is not true at all. And I would say, apart from the 4 pillars that President Uhuru Kenyatta want to implement, the biggest pillar is actually to fight corruption. Because if he wins the war against corruption, it will mean, apart from the 4 pillars, whoever comes next after him will be able even to increase more pillars than the 4 pillars that he's doing. You know, this country has really been let down by corruption. Every year, more than 600 billion shillings is lost in wastage. Wastage, not wastage, but corruption. That meaning we could be doing bigger things than that. For example, you know, when Uhuru talks about the 4 pillars, we look at people like Singapore and Malaysia, where they were actually behind us in 1962. But today, they're actually developed countries, and we are still developing ourselves, which is a shame, because even Kenya in 1962, we used to loan money to people like Singapore for development. And where are we now today? Today, we'd expect them to loan us money because they are way, way ahead of us. So, people should not complain. Corruption has no tribe, corruption has no religion, corruption has no color, and that's why we are saying we must fight corruption. And I believe we are going to win the war, because even people like William Wilberforce, he fought slave trade for 20 years and he won the war.
Finally.
And this country, we must fight corruption, so if we succeed, it's good for the generation to come.
I am under pressure to wind up, but Martin, very quickly, in about 30 seconds, because the fight and, you know, the talk out there is that this corruption, you know, and the arrests are yet to net the big fish in government. Do you think we'll get there?
We will get there. You know, there are changes which have happened at the office of the DPP. There are also changes at the intelligence, and there have also been changes at the DCI. Those of us who know Kinoti, that guy is very thorough. You know, he used to be at the banking fraud unit. And I can tell you he is going to fight corruption. Nurdin is an ex-NSIS fellow. So you can bang on him. Because you know what used to happen? Muhoro used to compromise the investigations. Then the files would go to Tobiko, and Tobiko would either sit on them or they bungle the prosecution. So the only other place now which the president must crack the whip on is and corruption. We need to send Wako home. His contract is remaining, I think, about 3-4 months. And then we also need to send Mubea home, so that we have serious people now at the anti-corruption. Because, you know, the anti-corruption has been a conveyor belt. You saw NYS 1. All those people went to court and they were acquitted. But you know, the magistrate who is handling those cases, Ogoti, you know, the other day he sat up to 1 in the morning. He is the one who jailed Gakuo. He is the one who jailed Kirui. Kirui was a former PS. Is that a small fish, really? Gakuo was a town clerk of Nairobi. Is that really a small fish?
It's small.
So, you know, and it's gradual. You know, you cannot just go arresting people before you have the evidence. So it's being done gradually. The fellows making noise about that the West tribal. Most of the people who have been charged are Kikuyu. So Uhuru should have not taken push for them to be charged, because in fact among those people I've not seen anybody from the Kalenjin community. So why are our brothers making noise? You know, the guilty are run when nobody is chasing them. Let the war be systematically be fought, and if you have stolen, you know, people, it's not tribes which steal. Because even the fellas who have stolen, they have not shared the money with the Kikuyu community. I'm sure you are from the Kikuyu community. Have you partaken of the loot? So, you know, nobody will come around here and say that, you know, the community, they were stealing, that the community is being fought. Even those who steal from the Kalenjin or the Luya community, there are even Luyas who have been charged. But some of those fellas, I don't even know them. And I have not gotten a share of the money, and I don't intend to get a share of the money. So if they have stolen from Kenyans, then let's make it very difficult for one to engage in corruption.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I've run out of time, but thank you very much, Mheshimiwa and Martin Andati, for coming tonight. You know, speaking about Kiambu and the war against corruption. Quite an animated conversation. And then again, we'll continue monitoring the events. And of course, I understand the DCI is supposed to make arrests maybe the next 2 days or so as regards the Ruaraka saga. It's also something that will be on cards moving on to this week. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. That's all for Perspective. Karo Jenga is up next with business.